is first off, for all the people over on YouTube, what we're doing today is we're going to be talking about a thread, developer discussion number 39, griefing. As you can see, you're going to see my viewer comments on the screen as we go through. If you want to leave a comment on anything, drop it down, put a timestamp if you want to indicate what's on the screen at that particular time. That'll help other people when they're responding to you. With that said, yeah, hi YouTube. With that said, today we're talking about dev discussion number 39, griefing. Glorious Ashes community, it's time for another dev discussion. Dev discussions are topics kind of like a reverse Q&A. Rather than you asking us questions, we want to ask you about your thoughts. Our design team has compiled a list of burning questions, and today's question is, what do you consider acceptable behavior in an MMO or PvP-based situation, and where do you draw the line at griefing? Now, I feel it's important that we start with the idea that there is no universal definition of griefing. That's a big one. So as a community, we have to decide what griefing is for Ashes. Because what's griefing in one game isn't necessarily griefing in another. And so that I don't bias the pot, what I want to do is I just want to read some of these raw and uncut. But I see one of our viewers says camping starting areas is an obvious one. To me, watching this VOD at work doing deliveries, it's past me. Enjoy the work. I procrastinate for you. Yes. Very well played. When someone repeatedly attacks, kills someone, and has no benefit for the attacker. Basically, if they are only doing it to waste someone's time. On the other side, I kind of want to consider stuff like karma bombing griefing. If someone attacks you at a spawn resource node and you don't fight back and get killed, I don't see where that sentence is going. If someone attacks you at a spawn resource node and you don't fight back and get killed, if you return to the spot to continue to take more resources that your attacker is trying to farm, trying to increase their punishment, I think that can also be considered griefing. That is not karma bombing. I am going to jump in right here, and there is a video I did on karma bombing. That is not karma bombing. Karma bombing is when you create a situation where I must kill you. That is when you travel around with 2 or 3 or 4 green characters that are going to run into my AoE. So I'm attacking you, and when I use an AoE spell, your roadies run into my AoE, I kill them, and then I get negative karma. That's karma bombing. If I show up to a place where there are resources to be gathered, people need to break the mindset that those are your resources because you got there first. There are a lot of bad misconceptions with MMORPG players. When people turn around and say, hey man, I got here first. Well, hey man, I got here second. It's a world with limited resources. You found the silver vein, I found the silver vein. We're both sharing the silver vein, or you're gonna get froggy and leap, and then you'll either beat me or I'll slap you down. That is not karma bombing. If you kill me and I come back, well, number one, I have a long run to do. Number two, did I stop somewhere to drop off what I've already gathered? So, and this came up with a guy named K Wolf in the Discord. You can call whatever you want karma bombing. You can use whatever words you want. But if you don't use the words that everybody else is going to use, then nobody's going to take you seriously. Karma bombing is running greens into AoEs so that they get negative karma, that they can't help. You bomb them by running negative karma at them. Killing somebody and then going, or getting killed and then going back and getting killed again is not karma bombing. I love these types of discussions because the line is different for everyone, but there's some common ground on what is obvious griefing. For me, at least, it's an action, not just PvP, that is done with the sole intent to annoy and harass the player for little to no gain for the offender, other than their enjoyment in upsetting the other person. This is really well said. If a person is attacking a player over and over, knowing full well that they don't have loot to drop, and knowing full well that the person is not going to fight back, they are just doing it to harass and annoy the person. Yes, which is why the Ashes of Creation corruption system works that way. Meaningful PvP doesn't just mean consent from both parties. It also means it has a purpose within the game world. Whether that be securing an objective like a world boss, gaining supplies, stopping your opponent's progress, trade run ambushes, and having open war between guilds. Anytime a person takes actions that are motivated out of a desire to annoy or harass another player, that's griefing, regardless if they do it 1 time or 100 times. I'm not saying you shouldn't kill people just for fun. What I'm saying is your intent is the key. PvPing for the sake of meaningful PvP, such as fun or enjoyment, is 100% good. But if you're doing it for the lulz in the hopes of the other person uninstalls the game, then you stepped over that line. Okay. I 100% agree with everything Karthos just said. If you're killing people for the lulz only to aggravate the other person so they uninstall, you're griefing. I don't think anybody's going to debate that. Now, you may not always understand why you got killed for no apparent reason. You may not know why I just killed you. And you may say, well, I was on the road to the node by the sea and Paradox killed me for no reason. Well, if you go and make a raging forum post about it, then I can go and tell you, hey, we were transporting 100 million worth of gold bullion on a ninja run at 2 o'clock in the morning. We weren't expecting anybody to be on our road. You were on our road. You got killed before you even got anywhere close to that caravan to flag it, attack it, see it. We killed you. We ate the corruption. We killed you. That's not griefing you. Sometimes you need to ask the other person, hey, why'd you kill me? I don't know you. You were in the wrong place, wrong time. Exactly. Well, that's not being nice. Stop thinking that MMORPGs are always going to be nice. Let's see here. This is long. It depends on the type of griefing. If a player camping a quest or trade route to get some easy kills, I think that's okay, as it's a player problem with player solution being to kill the person doing it. I absolutely agree with this statement. That's not griefing. That's PvP in a PvP-based world. However, before I go any further, I want to make sure that we add a little to that. If you're level 50 sitting at a level 20 quest hub, you're a griefer. Period. Because what you're doing, like Karthos said, isn't meaningful. You're killing people that have no way to fight back. With that said, if the corruption system is tuned properly, then you can go ahead and do this, and in about 5 kills, your character is going to be useless. Is me killing a person repeatedly to harass you out of an area griefing? Say for a particular boss is being fought for by my guild or super valuable resources being farmed? No, that's not griefing. Because it's the intent. What was your intent? Your intent was to secure the boss. Your intent was to secure the resource. You're not killing the person for the lulz. You're killing person for the tangible resource. Intent to grief is the key. Absolutely. Listing 100 scenarios is unnecessary. Griefing is autological. No, I think you need to go through all the scenarios because there are some scenarios people aren't going to understand. Why did I die? You won't, like I said, you won't always know why you die. Sometimes you got to talk to the person. However, sometimes there are griefing issues that require CMGM intervention. 2 examples I can think of. In Alpha 2, people were killing other players during a loading screen when they teleported to the other islands, so the player would load in dead. This is using a non-mechanic to grief players. I think Lieutenant Toast ended up sorting that in the end, and this wouldn't be a problem during release. Well, let me take a step further there. Not only was that a exploit of alpha technology, but that was going against the direct words of the creative director who said, stop it. Another I can think of is in Arcade. A background to the mechanics for anyone who hasn't played. You craft a pack. Okay, where's the exploit? I remember players were blocking the only road that led into a city where you deliver the packs so no one could use it to bring packs in, which caused the demand to go up. This would be fine itself as a solution, would be to destroy the blockade. However, it was in a peace zone, you couldn't break the blockade. This is an example of 2 where in-game mechanics don't complement each other. So, and will require GM intervention to destroy the blockade. No, that's actually absolutely 100% incorrect. There is no spot in Arcade where you can block a road to make it completely inaccessible, with the exception of Windscour if you block both the bridges. And then even then you can still move the packs manually, but that's a different story. The argument people are making is you could block the entranceway to Austera. Well, I loved when people blocked up Austera because I would just bring the boats in via merchant ship, and that was great for me. So again, this person sees griefing, but there were alternatives. Because when you say the only result is and would require GM intervention, no, it doesn't require GM intervention. Another problem with Arcage, though, is that you could have a second account as long as it was on a hauler, it was never going to despawn. My summary is in-game griefing is okay as long as player problems have player solutions. The next point to talk about is griefing, harassment in chat. No, we don't need to talk about griefing and harassment in chat. Number one, you're a big boy, you're a big girl, you have a block button. If a person is griefing you in chat, it's one of two things. They're griefing you in chat for in-game stuff, block them. They're bringing out-of-game stuff, real-world harassment. Then that's not griefing, that's harassment. But you should never say griefing, harassment in chat. Harassment is harassment. Harassment's against the terms of service. I love League of Legends tribunal system and think a similar system should be implemented. So players who are in good standing could sign up and review cases of reported chat harassment. No. Absolutely, positively not. Absolutely, positively not. The only people who should be moderating behavior of other players is staff. Players shouldn't be moderating the players of their peers. So, personally, I think as long as you have actual objective, everything is fair game. I like that. You want a grinding spot and decide to spawn camp someone until they leave? That's fair game. Why would you be spawning a spawn camp? Because the spawn camps aren't going to be on top of the respawn point isn't going to be on where the mobs are. If you're doing something purely to annoy someone, that's griefing and has no place. I also draw the line at constantly killing someone who clearly can't fight back and doesn't want to fight back, such as a max level player constantly camping a low level player. Well, so again, if the corruption system does what it's supposed to do, all of these are taken care of. I just want to find ones that maybe fall through the cracks that aren't taken care of. Griefing, definitely abusing bugs or game mechanics in an unintended way to foil other players, no or little gain to the griefers. I think the intention is still to annoy players, but I think at this point you're exploiting. I think at this point you're exploiting because you're abusing bugs. As a mostly casual PvE player, I know that, feels bad to get repeatedly killed by much more powerful players while doing low-level impact activities. I know that's part of the excitement for full PvP games, but when I only have 6 to 8 hours a week and someone can cause 1 to 2 of those hours to be wasted by killing me in passing, that is the thing that makes me want to give up. Well, okay, so I want to jump in on this one as well. If you only have 6 to 8 hours a week, MMORPGs are probably not for you. I'm not trying to exclude people, but when you say getting killed for 1 or 2 hours by killing me in passing, again, why am I killing you? Are you trying to come through a route that we're securing against everybody? In Alpha, there was a spawn point in the dungeon right outside the dungeon room. Do they intend to keep that kind of respawn? No, that was an Alpha only thing. They don't plan on having respawns at the boss room. If you die and you can't get rezzed, you failed your dungeon. You got to go through it again. I think there's some pretty solid points here. The main thing I'd like to reiterate is, at least in my opinion, you're dealing with griefing. It's not, I was out farming and I got killed. It's X deaths. Okay, well, there's no point in me trying to do some kind of content because I don't have anyone else to stop this guy from killing me and I can't do it my own. My current understanding of how the corruption would work seems like an excellent resource for stopping this, but I'm certain the line of thinking is what most people are worried about. Okay. I also think it can be useful to encourage the community to respond as well. Obviously, yes, of course. Perhaps this should be more of a ground-up solution, but I heard the idea where, particularly in chat, people would just type stop with no further engagement. So, obviously, telling somebody to stop a behavior is probably going to have, what, about a 10% success rate? last note, I want to play devil's advocate. Taunting can be one of the most engaging things in a game, especially if it's baked in some way. Now, I certainly don't think this example is relevant, but if anyone remembers the game Battleborn where you killed someone, you could press a button and play an animation. They'd also see a taunt. This was generally one of my favorite things. It was comedic, infuriating, satisfying, and supposed to be lighthearted nature. Never felt annoying. Well, it never felt annoying to you. I can guarantee you that when I taunt people in Heroes of the Storm early match, I definitely get people that the 3 or 4 people will constantly just stay on top of me the rest of the match. This sort of playful banter I think is great because it can motivate people to try harder. Okay, this person's all way off trying to be psychological and stuff. They don't understand psychology. There is no such thing as playful banter. It's banter. Some people will receive banter for what it is, playfully, and other people will be offended by it. There is no such thing as playful banter. You intended it to be playful, but it's not on you, the speaker, it's on the receiver. Another example is emotes from Dark Souls, though admittedly I know less about the community's feeling. I think they can enhance the experience. Perhaps there's a way to turn what otherwise would be toxic behavior into something enjoyed by the community. No, toxic behavior is never going to be enjoyed by the community. It's toxic. By your own definition of the behavior, it is toxic. Give the trolls something they can get kicks out of while making everyone else doesn't get upset with it. If the people aren't getting upset by it, the trolls aren't getting anything out of it. Typically, the only thing that griefs me in MMOs is being forced into PvP content when I'm not in the mood for PvP. That's not griefing, that's you playing a PvP game. Let's see what else is there. That occurs when I'm on a PvP optional server and have spent an hour defending a city, leave the city for an out-of-the-way secluded farming spot while I wait for the PvP flag to cool down, but I'm jumped by some. Well, if you have a PvP flag up and you get jumped, you opted into PvP. Which means I'm in a no-win situation where even if I win the battle, I'm stuck with a PvP flag being restarted. Correct? It's a PvP-based game that you're describing. Other than that, I can ignore whatever players do to cause grief, but what you just described wasn't griefing. You flagged up to do PvP. Why did you go out of town with the PvP flag when you didn't want to PvP? Exactly. See, guys, when I started the segment, I said the problem with griefing is it has a lot of definitions, and this definition isn't griefing. Is being forced into PvP combat. You're not forced into PvP combat. I don't really see griefing as strictly PvP related. This is good. So, if someone is attacking you within the rule set of the game and you have ways to avoid it, then you should be fine. There should be ways to avoid a situation and certain amount of effort having to put in to hunt you down. True. I view griefing as more taking advantage of exploits. No, griefing isn't taking advantage of exploits. Griefing is never taking advantage of exploits. Exploiting is taking advantage of exploits. Feeding people to mobs so they die without getting corrupted. Well, that shouldn't happen because that means your mob AI and your corruption system is broken. As I've said, I think the corruption system is going to get changed in alpha to not be whoever delivers the death stroke, but it's going to be if you hit the person within 12 seconds of them dying, everybody gets corruption. So it's not going to be having one person in your group delivering the death blow. It'll just be everyone. It should 100% be based on how much damage you did. Yeah, and that how much damage you did should be 1 damage. If you damage the person at all and they die, you should get corruption. I went out of my house wearing a shirt that says ask me about my dog, and I got upset people were walking up to me asking me about my dog. Yep, pretty much. Killing inside towns. No. Towns should not be safe spots. So this has nothing to do with griefing. This person has devolved this into being, these are the things I want. Running in and out of town to flag and attack someone and have protection when they enter. That's why towns aren't safe spots. Going to a low-level area where people are just starting the game and carelessly PvPing everyone so they can't play the game. So this is one thing where I do agree that these areas, these divine gates, should be non-PvP zones. Wherever your tutorial ends, the main intro tutorial, that's when PvP flagging should go on. But I think that if these are your areas of the map, these are too big to be starter areas. So you need to work with that and shrink those down. But number one, I don't think you should be able to PvP anybody below level 5. I don't think you should be able to PvP anybody below level 5. I don't think a level 5 or below should be able to be hit with PvP. That takes some of that karma bombing nonsense out of it. I think if they're already going to put in a safeguard for not hit greens with AoEs, I would like to see them put in a thing that says not hit people lower than level 40, 45 with AoEs. So even if you run into my circle, I'm not going to hit you if you're level lower than 45, period. What about a 10-hour in-game protection buff or level immunity? Nope, you can't do a 10-hour in-game protection buff because then people will do stuff like use those characters to move resources because they can't be PvP'd. In a PvP game, you can't add in a protection buff. Do I remember correctly that the majority of crafting will be done in freeholds? No. The majority of low-level crafting will be done at freeholds. Top-level freeholds, top-level crafting stations are only available in the nodes. Group of people having no desire to PvP and just want to annoy you and killing all the mobs around you. You know what? I know people don't like when I say this. If you're farming mobs and I show up and I start killing all your mobs, I can do that and I'm not griefing you. Those are not your mobs. If those were your mobs, one of two things would happen. Number one, you would be in an instance where it's your name hunting ground. Or number two, I would not be able to kill those mobs. The mobs would be like, you are not a member of the Garrison Guild. You don't have access to this hunting range. You cannot kill them. Mobs are mobs. They're not your mobs. But I was there first. This isn't the 2000s, man. We're going back to the 1970s where not everybody gets a participation trophy and you don't get to just claim stuff. I wonder if they will change to a pure PvP flagging system. Seems like more than a few people here have issues with open world PvP. No, they're not going to, because the PvP system, it works. It worked in Arcade, it worked at Lineage. So to kind of disagree with myself for the sake of discussion, but being annoyed doesn't mean you were being griefed. No, I think you were right the first time. I think it's all on the intention of what the person's doing. I don't really want to look at other people's responses. Only way I'd agree with player reputation, BS. If the person that gets reported can counter-report you, no, there should be no reporting, period. Being annoyed that someone stole your mob, does that really equal griefing, though? Well, Karthos, I think it goes back to your original statement of, am I stealing your mobs because I want to steal your mobs for me? Or am I stealing your mobs because I want to steal your mobs to annoy you? If I come in and I'm taking your mobs, but I'm legitimately taking the mobs and I'm legitimately farming them, you're irrelevant to what I'm doing. But if I'm only there taking the mobs to annoy you and no other purpose. Now, maybe I'm there taking those mobs because your guild needs 5,000 deer pelts. And I'm trying to stop your guild from getting 5,000 deer pelts. Then I'm not there to annoy you, I'm there to block you. So you could camp high-level crafting stations and kill people for mats in theory. Yes. If that's the case and it's intended, that's fine by me, but I can see how people are going to view that as annoying griefing. I will pretty much guarantee that there will be guards near the crafting stations in the high-level nodes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Alrighty, jumping back in. You should balance corruption, period. Corruption has to be strong enough to minimize no-sense-free griefing, but not too strong as to kill world PvP. I want to remind people, the corruption system does nothing to stop open world PvP. For all of the people who keep speaking out against the corruption system, for the people that keep talking about the corruption system and, the corruption system's going to kill open world PvP. No, it's not. Because if you attack me, I have an incentive to defend myself to take that 50% death penalty. If I die as a purple, I incur half of the penalty that I would get if I died as a green. So yes, I have an incentive to flag up and defend myself. What if I killed you because you're from a node that clashed with mine in the past? What if I killed you because 7 months ago you killed me and I still have your name on my monitor sticky pad? Then this guy Jay killed me for no reason. I'm putting in a ticket about him. The GM comes to me, why'd you kill this person? Oh, well, I had reason. I had cause. Well, what was your cause? It's because I hate him. I'm sick of game balance. I'm sick of games balanced to please Care Bears, and I want to play an MMO where the open world PvP is a strong feature. If you don't want to be you don't want to be disturbed when you're doing anything, please go to Final Fantasy 14, WoW, or any other MMO that allows you to turn off the PvP. Well, please don't talk about games that you don't know what you're talking about. There is no open world PvP in Final Fantasy 14, so you don't turn it off. It's just not there. Please don't tell me you can kill anybody. You just go ahead and deal with the consequences. In a game where you have a 400% penalty in your first kill, you don't want to kill anybody. Again, this person doesn't understand the corruption. And I just ran into that thing. Corruption, there's not going to be 1-hit kills or 2-hit kills. I hit you. I hit you again, I hit you a third time, I hit you a fourth time, you still haven't flagged up. I hit you a fifth time, a sixth time, a seventh time, an eighth time, your health bar crumbles to 50%. Pretty clear you're not going to flag up. Pretty clear I'm just going to walk away and not kill you. You don't get corruption until the kill. You do not get corruption on the attack. You get corruption on the kill. Dude, the person will fight back your aggression. They need to reduce their own death penalty. No, if corruption is this punitive, nobody will fight back because the attacker will never take the risk to receive a 400%. Yeah, this person doesn't. This person is a griefer. I can tell right away by looking at people's posts. This person is a griefer who likes to PK, right? This person is a griefer who likes to PK, and they're not actually a PvPer. I have not met one PvPer that's upset about the corruption system. Not one PvPer. Because a PvPer doesn't care about ganking anybody. A PvPer, a true PvPer, wants a fight that they have an equal chance to lose as they do to win. A true PvPer wants the opportunity to lose. Because if they don't have the opportunity to lose, where's the thrill? Where's the rush? Kind of a loaded question, as non-consensual PvP where the victim was not taunting or stealing your mobs or any wrong would be griefing. Okay, but they're not your mobs. But this would also cover most open world PvP, as consensual PvP usually happens in arenas, battlegrounds, duels, guild versus guild, sieges. Whoa. Hold up. Whoa. Sieges are consensual? I don't think sieges are consensual. I think sieges are you deciding that the Paradox Guild is making too much money owning that port by the sea. They're becoming the Medicis, and we need to go burn down their node because they control everything involved with shipbuilding in half the world. Sieges aren't consensual. I want people to realize participation in sieges. Participation in sieges is consensual. Siege is not consensual. I did not consent to my home being burned down. If Dev Discussion 38 was holidays, then this thread should be Dev Discussion 39. I'm ignoring everybody's responses. Add another completely unpopular opinion. I don't think you should get red in your first kill in someone with the same level as you. No, okay, again, Darknez, we already know you're a griefer. Your name sounds familiar to me, right? We already know you're a PKing griefer, right? I guess you should kill some players around your level to be corrupted. Obviously, this should not apply when you kill a low level. No, if you kill one other person, you murdered somebody. It doesn't matter if you murdered a level 50 or murdered a level 45 or murdered a level 40 or murdered a level 10. You murdered somebody. You killed somebody who didn't fight back. You murdered them. That's why it's a crime. That's why it's a penalty. It's not griefing to me no matter the intent of the other player. If it's intended gameplay from the developers. No. I'm sorry. No. A theme box, which is what Ashes of Creation is. It's a theme box. Has themes in it. Even if it's intended gameplay, that doesn't mean it's not griefing. It just means that the developers have decided to not hard ban the activity. Sometimes game systems aren't completely thought through, and actions that aren't exploits or cheats can still be bad for the game and toxic in nature. It's up to the developers to address that as soon as possible and make a statement telling players not to do it. Any exploitation of bugs should be harshly punished and can be considered griefing. No. People gotta stop. Exploiting is exploiting. Exploiting is exploiting, and griefing is griefing. Don't cross the streams, Egon. These are different topics. These are different ideas. I would say that griefing is not simply killing a player who doesn't want a PvP. It would also be griefing if you stole a resource of mine. No, it's not your resource. Now to clarify, each game has its own etiquette. In World of Warcraft, if I was mining a node, all the ore in that node was mine. No, it wasn't. It absolutely was not. And when people say this stuff, this is the... Where do you get down with saying, I have to follow some etiquette? For example, there are some private restaurants up in Chicago that are run by friends of mine. I've known them for 20, some of them 30, some of them 40 years. If I walk in dressed like this, nice vest on, top hat, I'll get a table. But if I walk in jeans and a t-shirt and they see me at the front, they're going to very quickly whisk me away. And I wouldn't walk into my friends' places in jeans and a t-shirt. I'd go around the back, right? But if I did walk in the front door, they're going to whisk me away through a little door. So there's a private eating area where friends of the establishment can come in. But if I'm on a table out at the main floor, I'm going to be in a suit. My wife's going to be in a dress. My older kids are all going to be in dresses or pantsuits. And then my youngest could probably get away with jeans and a sweater, not a hoodie. Not a t-shirt, but jeans and a sweater. That's etiquette. It's fancy restaurants. That's etiquette. But I never agreed at the character select screen that I wasn't going to steal your node in Final Fantasy or in World of Warcraft. It was deemed rude if you mined at the same time as me. Now after respawn, that was fine. But if the node had 3 ore and you took 1, so I only got 2, that could be viewed as griefing. No, it can't. That cannot be viewed as griefing. That is not your node. I understand that you want it to be your node. I understand that you do not want to have to share. At the same time, I don't have to acknowledge your claim to it. In EverQuest, it could be a challenge to get experience for your character and finding monsters appropriate for your levels, so groups would camp areas waiting for the mobs to respawn. If a group claimed an area as camped, for those who remember that term, killing a mob was deemed rude and it could get you killed by the group. It was not considered rude. It could get you killed. Yeah, this is you being inconvenienced. Appreciate that, Happy Pappy. Happy Pappy. Oh, I'm standing up. Hats off to you. Gonna mess up my top hat. I'm gonna need more. Let's see. So I'm going to just ignore the rest of this post because I don't think the person's living in reality. I consider griefing to be killing low-level players or farming kills of one of your players until they're forced to log out. I think open world PvP 100% has to exist, not only for economic reasons, but also for that edge of your seat feeling, making the world feel a little dangerous, knowing that what you're doing could result in you losing it, making your heart beat a little faster when you're in the dark woods, felling a tree, and keeping you more alert to the surroundings. I agree with that. So, hey, follow these rules if I'd prefer to exist so I get all my stuff. You're rude if you don't. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess we can all agree that from that scathing Reddit post about me, being called rude is the least of my concerns. So, Paradox Guild members, you are all authorized to run up to every node you see somebody mining and try to hit it to take the last ore out. Gonna be the rude boys, I guess. I'd consider griefing to be more using mobs to stop from mining. Yes, that I would agree with. If I want to stop you from mining, so I bring a mob up and it hits you. But as I've said, if I'm able to train a mob to you and then the mob attacks you just because I drop it off next to you, that's bad mob AI to begin with. Let's see. My answer depends on the context of the game. In Ashes of Creation, the vast majority of the game environment is PvX. I think there's a contract formed when you create a character that This is the world you're asserting yourself into, and thus take on the knowledge that you are fair game. I agree with that. The social contract, I definitely would agree with that. So in that context, griefing seems to the repeated killing of innocents. We're innocent. Innocent? You innocents? Where they are not posing a threat to your objective. Killing other gatherers in an area with necessary material for your crafting guild is totally understandable. Standing over a level 10 as a level 50 and repeatedly killing the green, griefing. Yes, I agree with that. So... What? No, it wasn't a post Dolly Parton. So yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put this forum post in the description of the video. But for the viewers, I definitely think I'd like to hear what you have to say is griefing. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe griefing is some of these things that I've said it's not. So go ahead, leave your comment below. And if you like the music that you heard during the video, this is all courtesy of PGN Music. There's a link to them in the description below as well.
I say, Sprocket, we've reached the end of another video. Time to thank the sponsors. Yes, that will do, that will do. Shall we pop off for a spot of tea?